Hey guys, welcome to my video. I'm here to discuss something which, well, as of today, with the news coming out that the Batman movie is now moving forward without Ben Affleck as the main director, uh, where does this leave the DC extended universe, the DC cinematic universe? Well, as somebody who's pretty much been a fan, shall we say, since Man of Steel, a film that I don't think is perfect by any means, but a film that I definitely enjoy and I think is slightly underrated in my opinion. Um, I think so far it hasn't been that bad. Now, you may disagree with me off the bat straight there, but let me just expand on this a minute. If I'm being quite frank with you, I've seen worse films than I've seen from the DC extended universe so far. For me, Man of Steel was a great introduction, or a great reintroduction, should we say, to Superman. It was a perfect example of how I think today's society would see a Superman kind of messiah figure. I know some people don't want it to be that kind of gritty and realistic, but you know what? For me, at the end of the day, I think they took a chance. Maybe Zack Snyder wasn't the perfect director to take the DC universe that far, but I don't know. I think Gore's script maybe needed some work. The film wasn't perfect by any means, but I think there's a good enough reason to stick with it if you watch Man of Steel. It's a film which I think demands repeat viewing. Some people say it's just a lot of smash and bang, which it is. There is a lot of smash and bang, but there's a lot of subtleties there as well. And I think it's slightly underrated in my opinion. But, that's just my personal opinion. And I think with Batman v Superman, I think there was a definite shift there to make sure that the tone of Man of Steel was carried on, that dark, really realistic Nolan thing. And I think this is probably Warner Brothers' main problem, is the fact that they haven't been able to move out of that Nolan way of thinking, because they had such immense success with the Nolan trilogy, with the Dark Knight trilogy, that they didn't know where else to go, and it's very evident to me that, even in the opening scene of Batman v Superman with the destruction of Metropolis, everything about the cinematography, everything about the color tone, and this has been mentioned before, everything's going to be dark and nullified in the DC universe, but it has that feel and tone to it, and for me it works. It's different from the Marvel films, and I love the Marvel films. I absolutely adore them, and I think there's room to have that difference. I don't think it necessarily means that it means that the DC extended universe is failing simply because it has this different tonal shift. Now, I can hear a lot of you out there screaming, wow, hold on a minute. The reason it's failing is because the writing is atrocious. The execution of the scenes are atrocious. Example, the whole Martha thing. I mean, I could go on all day about that, quite frankly. I don't see that scene the way the writers see it, quite frankly. Listen, do I think the execution of the scene could have been done better? Yes. The Martha scene could have been done far, far better. That was a bad decision on Zack Snyder. It really was. I mean, you could have done that scene in a much more subtle, yet more effective way. He didn't have to shout out, save Martha. He didn't have to do that. That didn't need to be done. All you had to do at the end of the day was to have him reach out to him and, just without any words, or, and just for him to see in that moment. And I like that scene. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. For me, it's Batman seeing in that moment that he's about to become the killer, no better than the killer that killed his parents. I think, quite frankly, the scene worked for me. But yes, it could have been done a lot better. The execution could have been a lot better. But for me, the positives far outweigh the negatives. I think Batman v Superman Extended Edition, the Ultimate Edition, is a beautiful movie, fantastic looking movie. The cinematography is gorgeous. Despite the color tone, accusations, I think the film looks beautiful. There's so many scenes in it which I think are just stunning. The bit where Bruce drives away from the dilapidated Wayne Manor. How the battle between Batman v Superman is shot is just incredible. There's some stunning cinematography there. And the opening scene, obviously, in the Battle of Metropolis with Bruce Wayne, that just looks beautiful. And the score by Hans Zimmer. You just can't go wrong there, So for me, that film really worked. And, going forward from that, we obviously have oh my God, well, what can you say about Suicide Squad? Suicide Squad for me it's a strange beast. Do I think it's as bad as people make it out to be? No, I don't. I genuinely don't think Suicide Squad is an absolutely awful movie. Do I think it's a great movie? No. Do I think it's a good movie? Just about. I love the characters in Suicide Squad. I think Will Smith as Deadshot is fantastic. Whether he's like the Deadshot in the comics or not, it doesn't really bother me, quite frankly. I grew up in Deadshot in the comics. Will Smith is nothing like him, but quite frankly, it worked for me. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. Is she a little bit cliche-ridden in the movie? Yes. But for me, she delivers the goods. She's fantastic. I love Jay Courtney as Captain Boomerang. I know I'm in the minority there, but I thought he worked really, really well. I thought his dialogue was very funny. I love that bit where he says, "Oh yeah, fire, yeah, great mate, well done." He's good. And, I think the rest of the cast worked really, really, really well. Leto, the Joker. Oh, there's so much to say and yet so much to expand upon that they just didn't do. I thought the scenes he had worked. Were they perfect? By no means. Does the film deserve to be criticized? Yes. I enjoyed it. I thought the cinematography again was very good. I like David Ayer's direction. He himself has admitted recently that the film wasn't exactly what he wanted it to be. So, there's that note to self for him that, it's not the film he definitely wanted. But I admire what he was trying to do. And there was obviously a lot of studio interference there. But for me, I think it's not a film that I will never watch again. I have friends that absolutely love that movie, and it's a good rewatch. I can't say any more than that. It's one of those films that I think people will look back on and say it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. Well, what to expect from Wonder Woman? I loved Gal Gadot in BVS. I thought that opening scene with her meeting Bruce Wayne in the museum worked really well. There was some good dynamic between the two of them. I think Gal Gadot gets a lot of unnecessary slating, quite frankly, because of her accent. She can't help that, I think, for me, she delivered the good as Wonder Woman. She only had a small role, but for what she did, it worked. And I think this trailer that Warner Brothers have released looks fantastic. For me, it brings the goods visually. I never thought we'd get a Wonder Woman movie that would look this visually sumptuous. I think Patty Jenkins has really got a great dynamic feel in the look of this movie. Going forward, I think it's going to be a good film. I have hopes for it. I'm going to go in with an open mind and a positive outlook, no matter what the reviews are. And if I think the film is average, I'll say it when it comes out. I thought Suicide Squad was average. I enjoyed it, but it's an average film. I still really enjoyed it. Nothing in the DC universe so far for me has been outright terrible. The theatrical version of BVS wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but the Ultimate Edition remedied a hell of a lot of it for me. Didn't fix everything, but it remedied a lot for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Wonder Woman. I think it's going to surprise people. It's something I've wanted my whole life, so to see the Wonder Woman Amazonian side finally brought to the big screen. And you gotta love those Hans Zimmer strings. I'm glad they carried that over into this movie. And I think it's going to be good. It seems like it's going to have a good combination of action, comedy, and romance. Let's just hope for the best with this one. I think it's going to be good. Not long now. And of course, following up that, we have, well, here it is, Justice League. What is November going to bring us? Is this film going to be the movie that we all hope it is? Is it going to save the DC Universe? I think a lot of people are hindering a lot of hope on Wonder Woman. For me, it's Justice League. If Justice League doesn't work, then I think there's a very, very big chance that Warner Brothers will most probably definitely reboot. But from this trailer alone, I think it looks fantastic. Now, I know this isn't the official trailer, but from this presentation that they gave at Comic-Con, I think it looks immense, quite frankly. This banter here between Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen, I mean, that's something I never thought I'd see on the big screen. You know, don't get me wrong, I like DC TV Universe, but, you know, the budget doesn't really expand to what you would really want to see. This, for me, is what I've been waiting for, what I've read in the comics. You know, Aquaman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash, Cyborg. I never thought I'd get to see this. Yeah, okay, Green Lantern's not in it, but I mean, you know, I imagine they're going to reference him. If they don't, no biggie. I'm sure we will eventually get to see the Green Lantern at some point. I'm loving Ezra Miller in this. I just think he looks fantastic. I love his banter. I loved him. If you've never seen the film, we need to talk about Kevin. You need to watch him in that. He is incredible. And you got to remember, I heard a lot of people complaining about this trailer that, you know, it's a little bit slow moving, it's a little bit fudgy. Well, you got to remember, this is work in progress. This isn't the real trailer. This is just a combination of scenes put together for a quick presentation. And I think, yeah, I think the costumes look great. I think Cyborg looks great. I think Flash looks immense in his costume. And my God, Jason Momoa looks incredible. So yeah, for me, I think there's a lot of hope going forward for the DC Universe. Let's just keep everything crossed that everything's going to work out.
I hear you can talk to fish.
I think there's a chance that it could work. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's keep our fingers crossed.